Okay, I'm recording now. What's up, everybody? Junior Developer Happy Hour. Welcome. It's React30. Like Kiki just said, we've been doing this every Sunday for like the past few months now. We're doing the JavaScript 30 exercises, but we've been doing them in React. And every week I've been suggesting, if you've never done the JavaScript 30, I suggest doing it in vanilla first before attending these React 30s, or maybe afterwards going back and trying and doing it in vanilla JavaScript. This week we're going to do this custom HTML5 video player. And we've been doing it all inside a code sandbox. So let me start a new sandbox and then give you, whoever's here, the link. Let's see. This is the live link. Just in case anybody wants to jump in and start coding. And if you ever got any questions, you can just, it's informal. You can just, we're just hanging out. So you can just like stop me at any time, ask questions, or if you're shy, you can just post your questions in the chat if you don't want to talk on the video. Either way. So the way we usually start this out is Westboss has the JavaScript 30 GitHub. Maybe add this onto your links too, Kiki. This is the GitHub. That's for all the source code. So it has like his like vanilla JS like code, like the starter code, as well as like when you watch the videos, he like writes all the code and tells you how to do it. So he includes the code, the finished code as well. So we start with the starter code. Oh, we're gonna need this video though. Let me save this video. So I should have did that before. That didn't save it. Let's see. How do you download it? Okay. Oh, it's 45 megabytes. Oh, good thing I got fast internet. So let's see. I can put that inside here, I think, inside the public folder in Code Sandbox. We'll see, maybe. We'll find out if I'm doing this right. I didn't try it out in advance. We try to keep it real here on this this meetup. We try to just do it live. So we're gonna need this video player. So I'm gonna copy this. Oh, if it finishes uploading, I should have at least uploaded the video in advance. But we're gonna copy all this HTML and all the CSS. So Westboss always provides all the CSS. So let's see, it's still going. Why is it still going? I guess the upload is slow, download is fast. We'll just give it a little bit. Let's see. Anybody got any general questions while we wait for this thing to upload? I forgot about the video uploading. No questions?
Just a hot tip. This is Tade. The PyCon was this weekend I attended, and there's like a ton of companies hiring like crazy right now. Granted, it's a lot of like back-end engineering worlds heavy on Python, but just I can maybe post in the Slack all the companies hiring. Was more than a few. So just want to give that tip to everybody. I was really surprised how much eagerness everybody was hiring at this point in May. So just throwing it out there.
Okay, awesome, thanks. Yeah. So our file upload. So yeah, join the Slack if you wanna check out those job postings. You said it's for Python, right, Tade?
Python, but I'm pretty sure they're hiring broader than that. But you can start with Python, look for all the web-related roles and backend engineering roles too.
Okay. Well, our video upload failed, so we're gonna have to. I think you can link it straight from GitHub. So let's just copy the other code first. Let's do this. So apparently Code Sandbox has a 30 megabyte limit on videos. So let's fix this. We always have this problem. That's the first thing we fix. It's class name in React. And what else is this complaining about? Div.
Sam, can I ask you a quick question?
Hold on a second. Okay, we got that. Okay, what was that?
Do you think it'd be better to just follow along, or
It's up to you. It's up to you. Some people just fork it and they just do it along. Some people just watch. Some people actually jump in and code. So yeah, it's whatever you want to do.
Is there a link in the chat or something for the, not REPL, but whatever Code Sandbox you're using?
Yeah, this is
I
the.
put it in the link. I can repost again.
That's the live link, and then the actual Sandbox link is this. It will change later because I named the sandboxes, but I usually do that at the end. I post the links all in the Slack. So let's see.
Cool, thank you.
Yep. So CSS. Let's see. Raw. A lot of CSS on this one. So let's put that in. Okay. On the video, let's try put in the hard-coded link from GitHub. So we go here, go to, I wonder if we can just post it straight to that link. Let's see. Oh, we don't got the play button working yet, that's why. So let's try and do that part first, because we don't have anything working yet. This is just like the boilerplate. The first part I would probably start with is like the play button, right? Because you want to be able to play the video. So I don't know, the other weeks we're here, I don't know who was here. We did like audio. We haven't done video yet. And video is kind of similar to audio, where you got to get a handle to the HTML node, and there's like imperative actions that you can call on the HTML nodes. So whenever we work with HTML nodes where we got to do imperative actions, we use ref. Does anybody want to attempt to try and do that, or would you rather that I just code this part? Can we get a vote? There's nobody has an opinion.
I could try to start with the play button.
Okay, I'm going to
I'm going to need to Google the whatever the method is that you call to start the play. I don't know what that is.
It's just play. I think I'm guessing. We'll see if play works.
Okay.
Yeah,
You might have to talk. You might have to talk me through this a little bit, because I haven't used ref like this before. I haven't messed with video in React, so.
Actually, I think my link is wrong. We might have to upload it somewhere else. I don't know if it works. Linking directly to GitHub, because
Does it work if you hit it just with the browser? Is that what you're doing?
I would have thought like, no, it goes to this GitHub page.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too. So that doesn't work.
But you can,
Probably.
while I figure this part out, you can,
Okay.
what do you call? We can just look for a different video.
Okay. I'll look
we
at
can
this.
we can just upload it to Google Drive. How about that? And I'll give you guys link. I can give you link.
Okay,
Upload it
yeah.
to Google Drive.
If somebody can do that, yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, so we got Adam back with the use ref.
Yeah, I'm looking at the method here. So it looks like, okay. So that would be something like const. Well, I need to set up the use ref first. So,
So we do play
and then
controls.
I guess would I have the ref attribute on the video like this equals.
Yeah, so call it video ref just so it's more, we know that that's the video ref.
Video ref. Okay, got it. All right, and then maybe
so
I
we want to
sorry.
toggle. I don't know who watched the video already, but like we want to toggle playing the video when you like click the play button.
Mhm.
I think he might do a toggle clicking on the video too, but
I think he does too.
Yeah, so either way, up to you. If
Let's
you
just get play first, and then once we get play, we'll worry about the conditional for not play, to pause it or whatever. So then I guess we would we do maybe on the play button we could do like an on click handler to call the play method.
So it's gonna be like a toggle method because it's either gonna be playing or it's gonna be pause. And
okay.
The click event's gonna be on the same button.
Yeah.
So we actually need a little bit of code from the thing. I'll get the pause button. I think he has it in here. He has these like emojis. I'm not emojis, Unicode characters. So I'll fix that part. So we need a use state too. So because we need
play or not play.
Let's make is paused, like
is paused. Okay.
So if it's paused, then we'll display the pause button, and then if it's playing, we'll display the play button, and then we can at least get that first while we wait for the link for the video.
Is paused.
Somebody's uploading the video to
I
got
the link. It's just for some reason I can't edit the sandbox. I tried to edit the sandbox line, but
I gotta add you in. Which one is your username in Code Sandbox? Do you know?
Hold on. It's like the I'm not sure. Hold on, let me see. External. How can I find out? I'm not familiar with
the viewers. There's only 6 people in here right now. I see.
Okay,
4.
I see. Nick GUN.
Okay. Okay, yeah. You should be able to type now.
Cool.
Something like that. Is it .pause for
this link? Doesn't seem like the video link either.
Nope. It looks like it doesn't work, right?
How to get? Let's just get a different video somewhere on the internet.
Can we just get a YouTube video?
Yeah, just like something on YouTube.
We need a link to the It can't. I don't think you can put the source for the YouTube video. You need like the MP4.
I'll
Did
try to
anyone
find
Did anyone
something.
check if the Google Drive link is the sharing is enabled, or downloadable, whatever?
It is. It's
Yes,
downloadable.
yes, I did. Yeah,
But we
I enable it.
We need a link to like a video on the internet.
That can't be too hard. I'll go look for something.
I'm looking right now.
Not a YouTube link though. Just, is that? Did you check what that video is just to make sure it's like safe to like view on the?
Yeah, that's from Wes's boss videos
Oh.
I
controller.
just heard a bird. I heard a bird.
I opened it in a different
Oh,
browser.
okay. I got
just to-
excited.
Yeah. So I put in the video.
All right. I don't know if what the hell I'm doing is going to work. I've got a handler set up for the click event. I've got his pause state. I've got a ref set up. Yeah,
What is this play video thing that you have?
that's supposed to be the handler for the button. So if you click the play button,
Yeah, but you
it's a-
have, I think you got this mixed up. This
yeah,
is,
okay.
May I have access? I found.
Yeah, if someone knows how to do this better than I can, then
so we have the video ref. The video ref is the
oh duh. Yeah, okay.
I have a sample. May I have access?
That's right.
Is
Okay.
that okay?
Oh, you got another one. Oh, there you go. Why
Yep.
was the other one not working?
I don't know.
Thanks, Kiki. Where did you get that video?
I just Google and I hack somebody in Sweat.
Okay. Wait, before we try it out, I want to put this thing in. So, and then once we get the play toggle button working, we'll stop for questions and talk about what we just did, because there's a little chaos because we have to like figure out how to get things working. So we can do like a conditional here, like is pause. Then we can display that thing. And if it's not paused, then we display that thing. So right now it's paused. That's why the pause button showed up. And then I'm gonna try and play it. Oh wait, that's the wrong way. I have it the wrong way. If it's currently paused. Wait, why did it do that? If it's paused, it should say this. Oh, I do got it backwards. Because we want the button to show the play button when it's paused.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I have is pause set to true as I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So we do that. Oh, look at that. Awesome.
Nice.
Did I do something that worked?
Yeah, it does. So it works on that, but we should also play on the when you click on the video, right? So we should be able to just add it onto this video. So we can just do click, and you already got, we just use the same.
Yeah, same function.
Okay, so
Cool.
so that works. I'm gonna stop now, ask if anybody has any questions about what we did. Like, we're just working on the toggle play and pause. Like, none of these things are working yet, the sliders and stuff like that. We're gonna do each one by one, and we'll see how far we get. I don't know. We usually go for about an hour. I don't know if we'll finish all the controls. But
Sam,
we'll
this is
see.
something I maybe haven't really thought too much about this before now, but you know, when you learn vanilla JavaScript, you learn document dot, you know, query selector, etc. Why doesn't that work in React, or why isn't that a pattern that's used in React?
Because React is the abstraction of manipulating the DOM. It's supposed to
Okay.
be declarative. You let React manipulate the DOM because
Okay.
it should be doing it efficiently. The way that it updates the DOM. So you don't want to. You want to like just use React abstractions. It's
Yeah.
APIs.
You don't want to reach down and manipulate it directly, because that's React's job. You want to like,
And
that's what we're using useref for.
You could mess it up too, because like if you're trying to do something and then React is trying to do something to the DOM, like it could just mess things up. So
Okay.
you don't do like jQuery kind of stuff inside of React. Like you don't.
So you don't ever really do like document.query selector, etc. You find some other way to do it with React, pretty much always.
Yeah, you don't need query selector because you have refs.
Okay, that makes sense.
The ref gives you a handle to the HTML. So whenever you, I highly suggest reading the React docs, just like the docs on the hooks, just the whole thing. The docs are not that long, I think. So it helps to just keep rereading it too. Like when you got to use hooks again, if you don't understand use effect, just go read the doc every single time you use effect. Or
see, I have to have someone explain it to me. I can read the docs, but it makes a lot more sense if like someone tells me. But yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Guys, a quick question.
Wait, let's refactor this real quick. I just see a quick refactor. Like we don't need set is pause in each thing. We can just do
set the opposite every time. Oh,
what it is.
Yep.
So that's just a quick refactor that I saw. Let's make sure I didn't break it. Okay. Okay, somebody was asking a question.
Yeah, it's Jesse here. I just getting into hooks. Like I learned React with the classes. So with use state, the way I interpret that line is that it's like destructuring or something. But that doesn't make any sense. So can you just tell me what that line is? Line 6.
So use state returns a tuple. A tuple is just an array with like two things in it. And the first thing is the current value of that variable. And we defaulted it to true. So the first time it renders is true. And this is the setter function. That's how you update it. So we're updating it here. Whenever this function gets called, we're updating is pause to the opposite of whatever it was. So this thing is actually not play video because it's play or pause. It should be like toggle video, maybe a better name.
Okay, so all right, so the is paused on line 6 is like a property in state, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So anytime you want to keep state of something, you just say is pause. If I wanted to make state of something else, if I wanted to something else, then I just make another one. The names don't matter, but like by convention, you do the variable name, whatever you want to call it, and then you call it set, whatever that thing is. And then I just do that, and I can just default it to nothing, and it will just be undefined if you don't default it to anything.
And you can also default it to like an array, and then you can like, so the first variable is kind of like whatever that's inside the use state, whatever it is, whatever type it is. And then the set one, it just helps us understand that we're changing that variable, and then it's like a function.
Yeah, you got, and like these are just functions, right? Hooks are just functions. So it's functions that React gives you. And then when you execute that function, it just returns, a tuple with the current, like inside of that hook, it's keeping state of the variable. Since it's a functional component, the component is just re-rendering. It's not an object anymore. So you have to, the way to keep state of the variables is you have to use closures. So in order to reduce the complexity, so you don't have to like make the closures yourself, they just give you these hooks and they abstract that complexity away from you. So you don't have to make the closures to retain the values of the variables. But it will make more sense if you go to read the docs. That's why I just
Okay.
I
Thank you.
always recommend, especially for hooks, because the docs aren't that long for the hooks. It's just like, it's not that long.
Yeah, I think React docs are some of the easiest to read of any docs I've ever read.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So let's see, what should we do next? Let's go look at what he did in his thing. So he did toggle play, and then maybe we can do range update, or let's do, what do you guys want to do next? We can do either make sure this progress bar is like correct, or we can like make sure we can like move these sliders. I think one is like the volume and one is the playback rate, or we can do the go back 10 seconds or fast forward 25 seconds.
I feel like the progress bar would be good to do.
Okay. Does anybody want to try and do that, or do you want me to do it?
Or use ref. I tried to write a music player recently. That part is throwing me off.
Well, for the progress bar, let's look what the progress bar actually is. So if you look, I'm gonna pop this out into a different window so we can just inspect the DOM to like see like what all the pieces are. So if we go and look, and then so there's that, and then progress bar is this empty div, and then it just has a class field. And the way we can go look, cheat a little bit. So he just has a flex basis. So we don't need a ref, right? Like we can use inline styles on the div, and we can just update the flex basis. Like if we did this style equals flex basis, like watch what happens if I put 0. Oh, what did it do? Oh, I put it on the wrong thing, I think. There we go. See how it disappeared to 0? And look what if I put it 50%. See how it's 50%?
Yeah.
Because what he's doing is this, he used a flexbox on progress, and then the child is using flex basis, and we want to make the flex basis value equal to, this is the equation. I'm going to copy it over. Yeah. We're going to have to do some, so we're going to have to keep more state. So this is not going to work, but I'm just going to copy it here just so we can have some code to work with. We don't need this part. So we already know how to get the current time and the duration because we have the ref. The ref is the handle to the HTML node. So any properties on the HTML node, we can access it from the ref. So how would we update this value? Anybody want to try? I just want to see like how people like try to figure out how this like works.
Sam, I have a question. You know, like I was trying to do that, right? But like without ref, it's really hard to like approach it because
you have to use the ref. That's why we have the ref on the video.
No, I'm saying like for ref on actual div.
But we don't need it because we just update this value. So this value is gonna be. So I'm gonna just put in.
Yeah, so could we do like an maybe an
not percent. Let's do progress bar.
May I try? But I don't know.
So
seems like we could do an on change to update that every time the video. I guess every time the current time changes, we would do this calculation that he's got and set the state to that.
So I think
that's what I would think.
Yeah. So let's do. So right now, I think we can do React video. I think we can just do on change maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking on change because later we have to modify the bar with the
video duration. Let's see. Oh, React.
You don't use dark mode
on some stuff.
Video, I was very happy when Stack Overflow introduced dark mode.
So on ended. Let's see what we got. So, oh, these are old React docs, but it's probably on here. So, oh, we got an on duration change. We can try that one. Or on progress. Let's see what Wes Boss used on the native event. So he did time update. Is that one? Oh, let's just use that one then. That's the one that he used. So there's a function, there should be a event listener we can put on the video. Maybe we can just console log that to see what it is first before we go and do the percent. You said you wanted to try, Kiki?
Sure. Do I set state for the percent? I was just trying to get to the documentation over there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the old documentation, which probably is still the same. So I think you can just use on time update.
What does on time update do?
So whenever the time updates on the video, you know, it's like 0, 1, 2, 3. I think it will be called every second. At least that's my assumption. But I said that's why I just put on the just put on the handler, and then we'll just console log what the value is. Then we can. That's how we can like figure out how it works without like actually like looking up the documentation. That's how I usually do it. And if I can't figure it out, then I go look at the documentation.
Hey Sam, I'm just wondering, can you attach multiple handlers on let's say like on a div, let's say like on mouse up, on mouse down, you know, like
you can attach as many you can attach every single handler that exists.
Okay.
On time update still exists in the new docs.
Hi, Brian.
Can you drop the link for the new docs, Brian?
Yeah, I got the link. I got all of them. Oops.
I wonder if Google still brings up the old docs when I like Googled it.
Should be that one.
I think it's .current time is the.
Oh, what happened?
I was just trying to unlock first.
Oh, I clicked on Kiki's link.
Oh, is that not
Yeah, it doesn't tell you what it is, but you would have to, I guess we have to look at the MDN, like the actual event to see what it is. So whenever the current time attribute is updated, it just calls this event. So it's just being called. And then I'm not sure if we have to get the current time off of the actual video or if it will come on the event. Like we can just console log and see.
So it's an event on the object?
Yeah, I think we want to set the on time update as the on the video itself.
Yeah, yeah.
And then what we want is current time for the listener, Kiki.
Yes. So what? Let's see.
So you gotta attach the handler. You didn't attach it.
Yeah, I didn't attach it yet. Let's see. Where is the bar? I'm on it.
No, not there. We want to listen to the on time change of the video.
So I have to attach it to the video right here.
Yeah, because that's what we're listening to. We're listening to if the video is updating. The div's not updating. The div doesn't even have a function called on time update. Those functions that we were looking at,
Yeah.
That's where did it go?
Media. It's media.
These are for like media HTML. So it's like audio, video. I don't know if anything else.
I see. On time update. So I should be doing some kind of function.
Then you call the Kiki. You call the function that you just wrote, the handle progress function.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this console log is not. There's no on time update on the video. We want to see what the event is. So let's do this. Yeah. So let's try to see what that is. Oh, so it gives you a handle to the video. We already have a handle to the video though, so we don't need to use that. We can just do, so let's just, I'm gonna start typing Kiki.
Yeah.
So since we already have the handle, we can just use the handle that we already have. We can just not even pay attention to the, so it says in the MDN docs that current time is updated. So we should be able to see the current time. So we see the current time updating. And then what was our calculation? We need the current time and the video duration. So let's try look what the video duration is just so we can see what those two things are. Let's do undo CT. I'm just making it short just so we can like see. Okay. So apparently the video duration doesn't change, right? Because the duration is like the total length of the video. So we're gonna have to keep state of those two things, right? Because we need to keep state of the duration and the current time. And then we need to like use those two values to calculate the percentage. And then as soon as we have the percentage, then we can just put it onto the style element and then the progress bar should just update.
Would we have to keep state of the duration though, since that doesn't change? Couldn't that just be a constant?
Yep. We don't need to keep state of that. So not percent, I guess, yeah, we can keep, yeah, we can just calculate the percent. So make it specific though, the name Kiki, because it's like percent of what, right? We want to make it like pretty readable. So I'm gonna
Does that work better?
comment it out here. So, and then percent progress.
Percent video progress, video percent progress.
Whatever, we can just name it whatever. Just something more specific than.
That is on the line right here. Let's see.
So
Can we use this as an abstraction though?
what are you trying to do?
I'm just trying to bring it outside, but I guess I can set it inside of how we get the percent.
Yeah, it's just one line, so.
Let's see. Progress. It should
So
come.
I think that worked. Let's try it out. So it's working. Good job, Kiki.
Well, you guys did all the hard work.
Nice, that was good.
So that's, now we got the progress bar, we got the toggle, play and pause. And let's stop for questions again, just in case, because everybody's here is at like different levels, right? Like some people still learning hooks, some people might not even know React yet. So you can ask any questions. That, like, I might just point you to what docs to read, but feel free to ask questions because it's good to know what you should look up if you don't know any of this stuff too. Any questions? Any questions about our implementation? No?
I just forget where handle progress was inserted in the.
It's here.
Oh, thank you.
Line 30.
That's cool.
That's what we looked up. We looked up, I think in the video West bosses, you can do either on time update or what was the other one? On progress, I think. And he said he didn't know what the difference was. So he said both of them work. I think it was on progress. So on progress makes more sense to me, but it works with on time update. So
yeah,
let's just keep it like that. Maybe we can do like these. Should we do one of the range handlers? Like the first one is the volume's pretty important, right? When you're watching the video.
Yeah.
Let's do the volume. Does somebody else want to try and volunteer to try to hook up the volume? Because just to know what we got to do, we can cheat again. So when you do the volume, where is he doing the volume? And the range update. So we can just do change, I think. I don't know if we need mouse move. Let's just do change. So we need to change. So he kind of cheats. The video, the attribute name is this value. So I think since we're doing React, I think you can just put the attribute name. So like right now it's we're gonna have, what is it called? So he called it volume and playback. So I think you can just put a volume property onto the video. We can double check real quick.
Yeah, you can. Sure.
I'm just guessing. I don't remember all this stuff. So volume. Maybe you can't.
Or we can just create a state for both, for volume and for the progress.
For the playback speed?
Yeah, but like I'm wondering if you can just put the volume on the video. Like, can you just do this? Can you do that? Let's see.
Yeah, I think you can.
I think so.
I go from 0 to 1.
No, I put it on 0. Look, it still has it like that. So you have to imperatively call it, I think. Let's see. Video HTML5.
Yeah, we have to use the refs for that.
Yeah. See, I was looking for a default way to do it, but you don't. We have to use the ref.
So we have to get a ref to the slider to get the what percentage that's at, or something, or the ref to the video object.
We don't need a ref on the slider because inputs have a change handler.
Oh,
so
okay.
We listen to the change handler when it changes, and then when that value comes in, then we imperatively set the volume on the video.
I see. Got it. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we need an on-change handler for this input, and we just listen to whatever value comes in, and then we set the volume attribute
on the ref.
On the ref.
Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of sucks because more React, it would be nicer if there was like a volume prop for the HTML node, but apparently there isn't according to that Stack Overflow. So we have to imperatively set the volume attribute on the video. Does somebody want to try and do that? Or I can. You want to try again, Kiki?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Are you typing? Somebody type.
Yeah, I'm typing on the top underneath the video ref.
Okay. No, we need to attach a handler to the actual the slider.
Slider.
This slider, the value, we have it static at 1 right now. We need this value. We got to keep that value in state, because as you're sliding it, we also have to update the. Oh, we don't need to keep that in state. We can make it an uncontrolled. No, we gotta update it.
Like this, right?
Does value force the?
Wait. Actually, we only got 10 minutes left. You mind if I jump in, Kiki?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't need refs on inputs, because inputs have.
Like, I have a quick question as far as refs. Is it like is it a good practice to use refs all the time? Like we have to use states.
You want to use it as little as you want to use refs as little as possible. You only use the ref when you have to use the ref. It's not recommended. If you look at the docs in React, it tells you to like use it sparingly, I think, because it does weird kind of things. Like if you're starting to use, if you're using it in use effect hooks and stuff like that, you can run into bugs. So you shouldn't use refs on every single thing. But like for a video, you don't have a choice, because the video has all these imperative actions that you have to call on it. The only way to do imperative actions are by attaching a ref to and getting a handle to the HTML node, because you have to call imperative actions. There is no declarative prop that you can pass to the video to set the volume or to play or to, it would be if it was ideal, like if there was like a is playing prop and you could just pop it in declaratively, then that would be awesome, but that doesn't exist. So
the ref
so
also has like a completely different use too, for if you're trying to keep something from changing when the state updates. It's like, which is a completely different use from what we're using it for.
Yeah. I'm gonna do the volume. So it's defaulted to 1. So here we'll do, and then let's see. So let's just console log it at first. That's what we always do, just to make sure. I always do that as a sanity check first, just to make sure everything's set up and the value is coming through at what I thought it was gonna be. Except, actually, yeah, let's do that. So yeah, it is updating. So we gotta update the value. So it's coming in like I thought it was. So now if we do, first let's just get the slider working, and then we'll make it actually change the volume. So set volume equal to let's put it in a variable. Volume, updated volume, and then we also got to update the okay, let's see if that works. So, oh, okay. Any questions about that?
Yeah, actually, why didn't, so when you're setting video ref.current.volume, why didn't you just set it to the volume that's the state? Is it because that the way it updates is like asynchronous?
Wait,
but you
what?
used updated volume here. So we have the const updated volume is e.target.value, set volume is updated volume. The next line, why didn't you set video.current.ref.volume equal to volume? Because that was the state that you're setting, right?
These updates don't happen synchronously. They're batch.
That's what I'm asking. Is it because it's an async update?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it does it. And React batches the updates, so it doesn't immediately like update it. And if it did, the component re-renders right whenever you update it. So
this to me is the most confusing part of React, is how the state updates like this.
Yeah, you just gotta know that it's not synchronous. You don't do this like, and why wouldn't you do this? You already have the value right here.
That's true, but I mean, we're setting the state for a reason. So it seems like if we're setting, if we're setting the state for a reason, we would just do that.
We're setting the state to update the slider value. It just so happens that that's the same value that we're setting to the video volume. That's why I put it in that's why I extracted it into a variable, just so it's clearer that we're using the same value. We're setting the volume on the video to the same value that the slider position is. That way it makes
Okay.
sense, right? Because then when it's 1, the slider position's full blast, and when it's 0, the volume's off.
It makes sense why updated volume works with the target.value. Yeah, but I've run into this problem with React so many times where I try to use a state that, and the asynchronicity messes me up, because I think the state should be what I've set it to just before, but then when I try to use it in the next line, it's a previous value or something.
But that's what I was saying. It doesn't make sense to use this because you want to set it to the updated value, and you
Okay.
have it right here. So you might as well just use it. No sense you try and pull a value from somewhere else when you have the value right there.
Right there. Okay, that makes sense.
So also, like, as far as I know, when there's an asynchronous state change, but a re-render in the like the rendering queue needs to happen, it's going to try to render stuff first, and then you're going to introduce bugs. In like the callback queue, there's 4 different queues in the callback queue, and it's constantly trying to update your screen basically. But if it's if there's like a mismatch, or something will freeze and hang the other.
And not related to React, you should understand all the JavaScript queues too, like all the different how it queues up all the asynchronous calls and the promises and stuff like that. If you watch JavaScript, the Hard Parts by Will Sentence on Front-End Masters, it's the best explanation I've ever seen of like the event loop, the JavaScript event loop. Because
okay,
you gotta understand
it's quirky.
Yeah, this is the stuff I struggle with. This is like the deeper level stuff that, like, you learn React and then you get into this stuff and it's like, this is really confusing. But this is a good explanation.
And like, you can be sure that the whole function's gonna finish before it sets the state, because once it sets the state, the whole function re-renders. So if it didn't guarantee that all the lines in this function were gonna finish, it would like set the state and cause the function to re-render maybe even before the code like finishes.
So basically, you should never be trying to use an updated state in the same function that's updating the state. Okay.
I wouldn't say never, but like if you have the value, you shouldn't be using some value from outside if you already have the like new value.
Cool. This will hopefully help.
So if you needed to set it on multiple things, just put it in a variable just so it's easier to read. Because I could have just put e.target that value here and e.target that value here, but then it's a little harder to read like that.
All right. Hopefully this will ease my frustration in the future.
I mean, you'll have to understand the JavaScript fundamentals first. Otherwise, a lot of people you can either go bottom up or top down. If you go bottom up, you learn all JavaScript fundamentals first, and then you jump into like a framework. That's one way to do it. I don't think there's a right way. Everybody learns differently. You kind of got to see, like, I go back and forth. So like, I'll go back to JavaScript fundamentals and then I'll study more how React works. So for me, I just go back and forth. Some people, like, they have to learn it bottom up. Some people have to learn it. It's easier if you go top down. Top down meaning you don't know anything about JavaScript fundamentals. You just jump straight into React just because it's fun and you can just start making stuff real quick. And then as you run into problems, then you dig deeper. Like, why does it do this? Like, why does this asynchronous function, what happens like when that like executes? Then you dig down to the fundamentals. So that's like the top down approach working. You just jump in, and then when you run into problems, then you go try and figure out like why it does that. But like, there's a lot of books that I recommend reading, like Eloquent JavaScript. This is the order I read the books. So I've read tons of JavaScript books, but like the main 3 books that I recommend to people, there might be better ones now because I read these books a long time ago, but I think they've been updated with newer versions. Eloquent JavaScript, I recommend reading that book first. Effective JavaScript second, and then Secrets of a JavaScript Ninja third. I read those books in that order, and I found it really helpful to read it in that specific order. Effective JavaScript is a smaller book, but it's really good. Secrets of a JavaScript Ninja is by, I think John Resig is his name. He made jQuery, I believe.
Yeah, he made jQuery.
Yeah, so jQuery.
I have the book right here.
When I started, everything was made with jQuery. Like we didn't have React and stuff like that. They went like vanilla JavaScript. The evolution of JavaScript, like apps, was like vanilla JavaScript. Everybody was just making, and then jQuery was like the first abstraction on top of vanilla JavaScript, or maybe there was like MooTools or something like that. But like that was before my time. When I came in, jQuery was like the hotness, and then that was really popular. It's still, you might, if you go work someplace, you might still have a lot of jQuery that you got to work with. It is a nice, it's a nice library abstraction, but it's convenient. Like, it's all imperative coding.
I love jQuery. It's amazing. Yeah, it's definitely better than vanilla JavaScript. I mean, it's way easier. Like it's syntactically easier. You know, it's more compact. You know, then you can write like document query selector or get by ID blah blah blah. Such a long expression, but like jQuery just like really small, super small expression.
Yeah, it's also like pretty nice to just know straight up JavaScript, like all of the event listeners, like without that abstraction layer, because that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's useful to learn all of this stuff, because it's even useful to use jQuery even if you don't use it, just because learning a popular API like jQuery, you learn how to build APIs for any abstractions you make. Like, because jQuery did such a good job of making, it became really popular because the API, it made it really easy to use and easy to remember how to do all the stuff. So like by just learning jQuery, even if you're not going to use it that much, you just learn patterns, like how you can develop abstractions on libraries that you make or anything. But after jQuery was like Backbone, and then Backbone, I think maybe Angular came next. I forget what the order was. And then React came sometime after that. And then React was a total different way of doing it, because we never did anything in like this declarative way before. And in the beginning, it was really hard to think about, because we were always doing jQuery and vanilla JavaScript, and it was always like you have to like imperatively update the DOM yourself. You have to be like whatever inner text equals this, or remove this DOM node or add this DOM node. And React totally came up with this new way to just be like, you just describe what the DOM should look like with your JSX, and then the library is just going to figure out how to make those changes to the DOM so it shows up on the page, which was a huge breakthrough. Like, I found making apps way more fun after I learned React. But
I like it now. I didn't like it when I was first learning it, because I was going from vanilla JavaScript, and it was very confusing to go from one to the other. But now I wouldn't go back. It's so much harder to use all those vanilla JavaScript things to get everything from the DOM node. It's so much work.
It depends what you're making though. Like if you're making like a simple kind of app, it might be easier just to do like a one-page HTML, CSS, JavaScript, because then you don't need a build step or anything. You just write like if you're just making like tic-tac-toe or something, like I think it would be pretty easy to just do it in like vanilla JavaScript. But Most of the time, yeah, I just do everything in React. I do mostly everything in Next.js now, since if I'm not doing it on Code Sandbox and I want to make something locally, I use create next app instead of create React app. I haven't used create React app in a while. Besides for work, our app uses create React app because I haven't introduced next yet. I'm I'm pushing for us. I'm pushing for us to switch.
Is it TypeScript, or like they use TypeScript in Next.js, or?
You can. It comes out of the box if you want. All you got to do is name the file TS, and it's already like set up to work. So
is it like
create React app might be set up too? I'm not sure.
You need to pass in a flag.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Yeah, for Next you don't need a flag. I'm pretty sure TypeScript just works out of the box for. All you have to do is name the file TS instead of JS. And then it should just work. If you want like the default configs, if you want to customize the configs, then you gotta like figure out how to do that. I never did that yet on Next.js. When I'm playing around, I usually just write JavaScript. I wouldn't play around with TypeScript. And if I like for our sessions, I wouldn't do these like while we're just hacking and figuring out how to like, what if we do this? What if we do this? That's what we're doing every Sunday, right? We're just like, what if I do this? What if I do this? I wouldn't use TypeScript for that because that just adds extra overhead. That's not good for like, in my opinion, TypeScript, yeah, it's not good for prototyping. It's good for when you're ready to write some production code because it helps you not have runtime errors like in your production app. And it makes it easier it makes it easier for new people who jump into your app to understand what's going on and like know the shapes of all the objects that the functions take in. When you
get that interface.
Yeah, and the IDE like helps you like know like what attributes should be on top of the object. It will just not compile, right, if you pass in something that's doesn't match the correct schema of what the object, what attributes the object should have and stuff like that. Like,
and you get like fancy IntelliSense. You know, like it just yeah,
you get that. You get IntelliSense a little bit if you use like React prop types, like we did that the other week for some people who are here. That does give you IntelliSense, but like it's not as robust as TypeScript. It's like I call it the poor man's. Like you do that just if you don't have TypeScript set up. That's like the lowest bar you should have in your React. Like if you're pushing something to production, you gotta at minimum have prop types. But I highly recommend having like TypeScript, especially if it's important for you not to have runtime errors in production. So it's good to learn, but there's a lot to learn, right? So like maybe you still gotta learn JavaScript and React, and then when you're ready, do TypeScript. There's like so much to learn. If you just pile up and try to learn everything at once, you might get overwhelmed and just quit. And you shouldn't quit because as long as you consistently just keep trying stuff, the light bulb's gonna go on one day. You might be totally lost like right now. You might be totally lost for like a year or 2 years. But the light bulb does go on if you just keep consistently working at it, reading stuff, watching videos, joining meetups like this, asking people any kind of questions, just put in some work every day, and then it will eventually make sense. Well, some stuff will make sense. You don't have to know how every single thing works. I don't know how every single thing works. I know enough to like make stuff.
Yeah, Node.js makes me confused. Well, specifically about ticks. Ticks are weird. They happen too fast.
Yeah, watch. There's JavaScript, the hard parts, Node on top front end masters. Will Sentence does a specific one on Node, and it's good.
Yeah,
I
I've been watching a lot of the JS Conf stuff. Just like a lot of the older videos, and it's very informative. But my workload to watch more videos and do more things is I cannot do it. But next thing I will I do want to go into more of the event loop. It's cool.
Yeah, that's good. That's really helpful to understand, because once you run into like bugs and stuff, like you got to know how that works.
Have you used any web workers?
Not that I can remember. I think I've used it not much though. I think I remember when I worked at Here Technologies, we had some kind of simple, I forget if it was web workers or service workers. I think it was web workers.
Yeah, I think web workers are on the front end. I don't know if there's web workers in Node. I don't know.
Yeah, it might just be in the browser. It might just be in the browser too, like
but then you have a React service worker, and I don't know what that does yet.
I think most people don't use it.
Yeah,
I think that's for like when you make like PWAs, progressive web apps.
I don't think you need to like touch web workers at all. I think they're doing their work on their own, like because it's like it's a part of an event loop, right? Because like
I think it's if you want to do like some computationally expensive kind of operations like cryptography and stuff like that. I could be wrong though.
Yeah,
that's correct. You're right. It's
about because you just send the worker to go do the thing, and then when it comes back, you get a message on your message queue. But you don't. Like, it's kind of cheating and making your JavaScript multi-threaded because it won't block the event loop.
Yeah, because like you don't want jank on your page, right? Like if you have like a encrypt or decryption operation you got to do that takes like a few seconds or something computationally expensive, you don't want that operation to block all the other stuff that the browser is like doing on the page. So then you might have to do it, but like the use cases there, like it doesn't come across that often. Like I haven't had a use case for it in years. Even that's why I don't even remember. Last time I used it, it was probably like 5 years ago or something like that. I haven't had a need for it.
My use case is for cryptography.
Yeah, that's
so
why
I want to build a front end cryptography machine.
That was why that popped into my head first, because cryptography is known to be expensive.
JavaScript is still going to be slow. I feel like even with the because JavaScript only accepts four web workers only. That's it. Like I believe like Node.js is pretty slow for that kind of purpose. What do you think?
But like so you use it if you like have to do it in the browser. That's like the use case for it. Like if you can send the API request and have the operation done in the backend, that's a better way to do it. But if you have to do whatever you're trying to do in the browser, then maybe you can look at the web workers. But like
I think Brian you should check look into Python. I think that's the language you need.
I'm very fine with Python. I just don't like how it loops because I prefer my plus. And as opposed to plus equals. You know, I want my increments.
Yeah, they're much better lower level languages for higher computational stuff.
It's just I've thought of a use case for the web worker, so I just want to use the web worker for it. I could definitely just do it in Python or I basically have this plan to transcribe something written in Java, but I want to do it using web workers only on the front end. And as opposed to the browser.
Did you finish the boot camp already, Brian?
No, I'm in the middle of an interview process. I'm building a single page PHP application right now.
For the boot camp or for your?
No, for
take
the
home
technical challenge. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you're interviewing already, but you're not done with the boot camp?
I could be done.
He's
I'm basically done. Like my capstone, everything's done. But I've been interviewing. So yeah.
He just didn't click submit. So
Yeah, I just haven't clicked submit yet.
So he's not complete, even though he is.
Well, does anybody have any questions about stuff we did today? We didn't finish everything, but like the other range slider would just be pretty much exactly what we just did, but on a different property. And like, I think like the hardest part would be the scrubbing. You can try and do that on your own. You can like watch the West Boss video and fork this sandbox and try and do it on your own if you want.
You could probably implement a double tap on the right hand side of the screen or the left side of the screen, and it'll scrub 15 seconds forward or something.
Yeah,
possibilities are endless.
You can do whatever your brain imagines.
Yeah, web workers.
I do have
I'm thinking about.
On the use ref, like from what I understand today, it's like if we don't have to use ref, then just like stay away from it, right? And then what if there are cases that need to have like 2 use refs? Then how would you approach?
You mean you just name it specifically to what it's on. So video ref, that's pretty understandable if you only have 1 video. If you have 2 videos on the page for some reason, just name the videos specifically, maybe based on what's in the video. But like you can't put 2 refs on a DOM node.
I see.
Like you don't need to do that because you only need 1 handle to the DOM node. So
Sam, what's the problem with having too many refs, did you say, on the page?
There's no problem with it. It's just like why would you put a ref like on this div? There's like no reason to do that, right? If you don't have a reason to do it, don't do it. Only use the ref when you have a reason to do it.
Okay.
Like you could do you can do anything with the ref. That's why you can do like ref.current.style and then put the styles like imperatively. But React is supposed to be declarative. So you declaratively set the styles. Don't use a ref to set the styles or the classes or any properties on top of the DOM node. Anything you can do declaratively, do it declaratively.
I thought you said you could introduce some kind of bug if you do it wrong or something. But
you can, like if you're starting to do use effects and you're saying like maybe if this variable is something and then ref.set, you can run in you can read blog posts. There's like read blog posts about using ref with use effect, and people have written blog posts about the gotchas that can happen.
Yeah, in the straight up in the docs, it says don't overuse refs.
Yeah.
On the refs and the DOM section in advanced guides.
Yeah. So number 1, just read the React docs, and then if you want to know about the gotchas, you can go read the blog post. But like maybe you don't need to. Maybe you're not at the stage where you need to know about all that stuff. Maybe you look it up like when you're like trying to solve a problem and like the only solution you can think of is using a ref. Then maybe go read the blog post about stuff you shouldn't do when you're using the ref. Because if you read it now, you might just forget it, like since if you're not using it. But
I feel like to a certain degree, it's could be probably not the same, but at least similar to keeping too many things in state when you can derive other state values from a thing. You know, like if you have an array, if you're keeping a track of an array and the length, you don't want to keep the array length in state because you can derive it straight from the array.
Yeah, any type of state, if you can derive other state, you shouldn't keep like another state variable because you can run into bugs because you might forget to update the state. Any derived state, as long as it's not computationally expensive, it's much preferred that you just derive the state from whatever else things that you have. But like the main use cases for ref are like on media, like video, audio. Like we did the drum kit, that one we needed the audio, so we used a ref. You might need to focus an input or something. You did it imperatively. You might need to measure how big the div is, because like sometimes you need to know that. There's like hooks you can download that's just like use measure. But if you wanted to do that in your own code, then you have to use a ref, because the ref can do get bounding client rect to get the current height, and you can get a bunch of information from the bounding rec on the HTML node. So that's, but if you look in the React docs, they actually, when you want to just use it for the get client, get bounding client rect, I think that's what it's called. They recommend that you use this like callback ref function. You got to look in the docs. Instead of using the ref to the HTML node. They have a specific example for that use case, because that use case is used a lot. And by doing it the way they do it in the docs, it's not as like, you won't run into some of the gotchas that people talk about in their blog posts. But yeah. Any other questions about the stuff that we did? Is it mostly just refs people get confused about?
It's Sam.
Mm-hmm.
It's Coriano. I just had a question for Jesse. If he's because you talked about use state, and I just had some more information regarding the use of that, and I just wanted to check with him to see if he still had questions on that.
No, I think actually it made a lot more sense. Like, I think I'm mentally mapping just that the first thing is the property in state, and the second thing is takes place of set state. Seems like, right?
Yeah. So use state, it creates an array that's a tuple, like Sam was saying. It creates an initial variable, and then it also creates a function. So the set one is actually a function. So it's not a variable. And that function is what will update, basically listen and update the value. And so with React, because anytime you update a state, it re-renders the whole component. So that's the parent and the child. With use state, let's just say variable, and then there's set variable. Variable will only be rendered one time. So the initial render of that component, that value will be used. And then when it re-renders, it's going to actually ignore that default and go straight to the second one, which is a function, which is where it's going to update that state. And so that was something that took me a while to understand. But once I was able to kind of understand what the process was, then it made sense to understand why when you use state, you don't really use the set, the initial value. You tend to use the set because that's what's going to be returned after the initial render. So just wanted to give you a little more clarification on that particular hook.
No,
Yeah,
thank you. Appreciate it.
So these are only made, they're only for the first render. Because like within the closure, That's
Correct.
how it sets the initial value for the,
Correct.
it's keeping track of the variable value for you. And that's what it defaulted to. So
Yeah.
when it's re-rendering again, it doesn't like do anything with this value.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool, like how set state isn't like a thing. And I just mean that it seems like a lot less writing, code writing.
I mean, you can, if you want to like do it like how you did it before, you can just make one thing that's like, if you want to ease yourself into it, you can still do it like this.
Yeah, that's what I had in my mind, right?
You can still do that. It's just more common. People separate it now that they can. Now that you can make different setters for different variables.
But the unless state and set state are, they are actually, those are reserved, aren't they?
No, you can use it. It's just telling me I haven't used it. It's declared.
Oh, okay. What we're saying is that, did you put you didn't call it set state because, what do I want to say? That
I'm saying you can do this. It's just that people usually separate it out into different variables. Like you don't need to keep all the state in one object anymore. So people don't.
But in that little line you wrote on line 9, you only have one property you can access in that, right? Like
no, it's an object. So I can do this. Like if when I toggle the video, if I wanted to say, and then if in here, I had hello world. If I did that, then when I render this, I have this. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Let's do this. So the default value is hello world, blah, blah. But when I click on this, oh wait, why didn't it update? Should have been hello, hello. Oh, it did update to hello, hello. It was hello world, and I changed it to hello, hello. Okay. It's an object, so you can update anything in the object. You can make it anything you want. Any JavaScript value you want, you can put it in there. So this is a way to mimic the old set state, because then you're storing all the state for the whole app inside here. So I could just, here, if it makes more sense with, if I just use the real values, like if I did is pause. This is a different way to do what we did. Does that make sense? That's the same thing that we did. It's just that it's putting all the values into one object. And when I want to update it, I would do that would pretty much work the exact same way that we were doing it. But like when I use it, where is it? I would do like, and it still works. That's the exact same thing. I just put it all in one object instead of separate variables.
Cool, thank you.
like the only, at least so far, what I've been able to find, the only downside to use state is that, say you wanted the updated state to be passed to the initial variable, that you kind of have to do some extra stuff to be able to pass that new state back into that state variable. So that's kind of, that's been the only thing that I've noticed just with the use state hook that is a little challenging, is that like I said, that initial variable is only rendered after the initial, the value was only rendered one time. And so for me, that was a challenge when I had an update and then I wanted to make that now the default value and then look for a new update off of that. I had to do some other stuff to be able to get that to work. So I guess my question is for you, Sam, have you experienced that?
You'll have to give me an example. I don't really understand what the situation that you're talking about.
Let's just say you have a counter.
Yeah.
And you have a counter and you have a set counter. And so you have the initial value to that to be 0 for the counter. Because of how React is in the use state works, it's going to, if I wanted multiple, basically if I counted, to 2 and 3, that's multiple renders. But that initial value, the initial variable in the use state only gets re-rendered one time. And so whatever that, like I said, that value is, there is what's assigned to it. But if I wanted to take the set counter of 2 and now put that into that default or initial value, initial variable, I had to do some other things to get that to basically setting the new value to the default one.
You don't update the default value. The default value is just to set the value on the first render.
Correct. I mean, you can do that, but it's, in the case where
you only do that. You don't ever change the default value in use state. It should never be different when you're rendering again. If you change it, it's not going to do anything. It only does something. It only sets the default value on the first render. The whole purpose is that the first time it renders, that's what it sets this value to. And then if you want to update it every time you click, then you just do this. +1, and then every time you render it, you get the new value. So
correct, and
0,
you're right about that
2, 3, 4, 5. 6.
But I was able to pass that into the initial value, but like I said, I had to do some other things to get that to work.
You shouldn't do that though. That you shouldn't ever change. This value should never be different between renders. There's no sense to do that, and that would just make your code really confusing to anybody who looked at it. They would just be like, why is the default different? If you're passing in props and the prop is different, it's going to be super confusing because the default should only be the default on the first render. Because if you pass in a different value, it does nothing. Unless you unmount the component and mount it again by using a key or something. And I would not recommend doing that. That's going to make your code really hard to understand. So I don't know what your use case was, but I do not recommend doing what you just described. There maybe there is a legitimate use case, but there's probably a different way to do it than trying to do what you just described. Because you want to make your code easy to understand, and that's just not something you do in React. Any other questions? No other questions?
Are we gonna code some more?
No, we're done coding. You can code some more on your own time, Kiki. You can ask me questions about stuff you're thinking about coding.
Can I just black you?
Have you used use memo a lot?
Not a lot. That's another thing.
That's an
I
like
would
yeah.
not. I would not use that unless you have to use it. That's another thing.
Enough.
Use callback. Use memo. Do not reach for that out of the box just because you think it improves the performance.
Yeah.
I'm
starting to reach for use reducer. Use reducer is fun.
Yeah, that one is personal preference. So
yeah,
like some people like use reducer. They just use that. They never use state. Or some people like use state and they don't use reducer. I mostly use state. I don't use reducer too much unless there's like a specific reason why it makes it a lot easier. I like use state is much simpler, so I usually just use state. It's only like if I had a complex kind of like object or something like that. Then
I've been digging into Kent C. Dodd's blog posts and stuff with his like use reducer stuff, compound components. It's
the compound
he's really good.
components. Yeah, he's pretty good, and Brian Florence makes really good APIs too. He's the one that made like React Router and Reach UI. Kiki, if you wanna, I know you're really into accessibility kind of stuff. Check out Reach UI.
Yeah.
He made, you know how like somebody was on your LinkedIn and was like, that material UI thing is not accessible. Brian Florence made Reach UI because he noticed that all the libraries were not made with accessibility in mind. Like maybe it was like an afterthought, like they're more into like design, making things look nice and UX nice. So he designed Reach UI to be accessibility first. He made sure all the components are like really accessible, and then the way that it's designed, like you can make it. He makes it easier to like for you to like make your own styles for the components.
Yeah, it's really nice, the Reach UI. I was trying to try out more material UI to see how their components work. So by knowing what works, then I can like leave what I need to add in or tweak.
Yeah, both are good. I like material UI too. We used to use it a lot at my team at Lyft.
Their documentation there's too much.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, I'm lucky the app that I'm working now is super minimalistic, so I don't need a library. I just build stuff from scratch. Because we don't have a lot of super fancy stuff. It's just pretty plain minimalistic style, so it's easy to just create stuff from scratch. We use Rebas though. People use Rebas. It's like basic, like kind of building blocks. So there's like a flex component. I use this a lot. There's like a box component, box, button. It's just like really basic building blocks. It doesn't have like all kinds of fancy stuff like material UI and stuff. So since we use a very simple app, this is good for theming. Like we have a theme. We define like all the styles in the theme, and then Rebas has these things called variants that like you say like variant, like primary for like the button, and then it uses all those styles from, you know how Material UI has like variant button, I think, same thing. Oh, they got a bug on their page, it crashed. It crashed the Rebas page. Yeah, Rebas is built on styled components, I think. So, because we use styled components and then we use Rebas.
You guys, I have to get going, but I'll see you later.
Okay, later. But yeah,
I was looking more into like CSS like this week, along with like the existing libraries, and then also seeing how like the CSS at media can also check like the preferences that's on your system. It's just like so much thing trying to piece and trying to weave them together. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of things to do in that the focus.
I just can't believe I'm learning PHP right now.
why all of Facebook's built on PHP.
I thought they like.
Do you like it? PHP?
It's very fine.
Well,
It's
well,
I don't know.
I mean,
Is it like Python? Kind of like Python or PHP?
no, it looks like JSX, right?
Yeah, it looks like JSX. If you stick to like a .php, you could write inline. It's almost, yeah, it's like just writing inline. I don't know, like if you use
markup.
yeah, like inline markup, because you could just do, or like Jinja. Jinja was the one I was thinking about. Jinja, or I think Django has a templating engine. But it's a lot of semicolons. It's very finicky.
Facebook is built with Hack, which is just PHP on steroids. I think they use PHP and they needed it to be better, so they they made Hack. I think they made that programming language, but it's like based on PHP, I think.
There are a lot of jobs in Florida, like they're using PHP a lot, and I'm like, damn, I thought it's a dead language already, but
no, I mean COBOL is still alive.
Yeah, COBOL developers get paid a lot, but that must suck.
Yeah, right. It's like at that point, you just write a tool to write COBOL.
Yeah, yeah. There's still a lot of PHP jobs, and like I said, there's still a lot of jobs for jQuery too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like this, the assignment that I'm doing, they don't want you to import any libraries or really anything, except they will allow you to use jQuery. It's like,
I wonder why.
I know.
Why.
I just
usually the coding challenge is use whatever you want.
That's my question for like, why am I using
IBM.
PHP right now? I don't know any PHP.
I just went through like IBM interview. They use the jQuery for a bunch of questions, like and all the questions was on a HackerRank, and it was like a build interface using jQuery and all vanilla JavaScript. So and it was kind of tough, and like to complete it in 1 hour. So
yeah,
I just had to set up a new environment for my PHP stuff. It's like, it was just annoying.
I just quit. One time I got like a coding challenge, and it was like a whole specific stack they wanted me to do. Like, and I just
emailed them. Sorry, no.
I told him never mind. I was like, never mind. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's just interesting that they made me use PHP as opposed, like, and I also know that a section of their stack is in Java. Like, I almost would rather just use Java because at least it's syntactically close to JavaScript.
I would rather use Java too.
Yeah.
Like the newer Java is not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm also interested in learning it. Like instead, I'm learning PHP.
The only annoying thing about Java is like there's so much like boilerplate that you got to do. You got to
like
interfaces and abstractions, and there's all these kind.
It's like if you're using I forget what the I guess there's like a library for like the Express equivalent, so like a web framework. The equivalent of 4 lines in Express is like 60 lines in Java. It's very verbose.
Yeah, there's tons of boilerplate.
It's like Spring framework.
If you use Spring, it makes it easier, but the trade-off is it does so much magic when stuff doesn't work. You're just like, how the fuck do I fix this?
Is it like Spring framework is close to Node.js, or they're totally different frameworks? Like as far as like learning.
I compare it more to like Ruby on Rails. Express is more explicit. You have to do things not conventionally. Ruby on Rails and Java Spring, you gotta follow conventions in order to get things to work. It just does things all automatically for you. And that's what makes it hard when you're first starting and you're just like, how do I do this thing? How do I do user authentication? You got to do all this magic.
Well, like the two hardest things about my PHP exercise has been, how do I read from a .env file, like without importing anything? And I figured out that it's hard and I'm not going to do that. So I'm just set up the actual environment variable in the Apache VM that I'm running on my computer. Yeah. So, and then I just deployed a fake application and then set the variables on Heroku to make sure that, like, okay, the variables are actually showing up in rendering.
You would have figured they had that solved already.
I mean, yeah,
there's JavaScript is super easy, right? You just use the package.env.
Yeah. I mean, even like Python used to is pretty easy. And also, like, because even in Python, you have your local I guess virtual machine or like virtual environment in like a folder. You just can set your environment variable like there and just set it. But since if you're running PHP, you're going to be using a virtual machine to run Apache or Nginx. And then you have to set up an HTTP conf file that has those environment variables, and it's going to read from that. So that's been the hardest part. Everything else is like very whatever.
I think like Node.js, like raw Node.js, also complicated. If like we know Express, but Express built on top of Node.js. Raw Node.js is also complicated. You also have to like set up the like